Shredding, is this what comes to your mind? We all know what the term shredding means. Just say Jason Becker, Paul Gilbert, Sean Lane, Rick Graham and so forth. But what if they only scratched the surface of this whole phenomenon? Have you ever thought about what shredding actually means and where it all began? Digging deeper into this, I found out there is a whole lot more to unpack from the depths of this culture. To find out where its true origins comes from, we have to go way back. Long before these guys even picked up guitar.
Anybody out there ever use their tongue to play the guitar? If not, you're missing out on a wonderful experience.
When did shredding even become a thing?
And the way he plays, I mean, girls love just to watch him play. You know, I wish I could play guitar.
What is shredding and what is not?
Anytime, anywhere, any place, man. Mike will make you look like a disgrace.
Is there any specific speed for it?
More is more, you know, simple logic. I like the most marshals and the fastest notes.
And most importantly, who started it all? Well, let's find out.
Down, girl.
As we say, shredded, dude.
We're not even in the shred zone yet.
All you guitar players out there are probably well familiarized with shred and its extent in the guitar scene. But why shredding is such a big deal? To some, it's their ultimate goal, to be as fast as possible on the fretboard, while maintaining the technique required. But for others, it's flashy nature, and speed turns them off, meaning that it kills the feeling and expression of guitar playing. There's no doubt that shredding causes a lot of opinions and controversy, since it's a huge topic. Therefore, it also feels like it has left us questioning and maybe misunderstanding what it's all about. So, to answer our question of what shredding actually means, I think we need some clarity and in-depth explanation. As mentioned before, we all know the famous shredders of our time, Steve Vai, Slash, etc. But what defines them as such? Is it only about speed? If you would do a quick Wikipedia search to see the definition of shredding, you will find something like this. A virtuoso lead guitar solo playing style for the guitar based on various advanced and complex playing techniques. And we have some examples of techniques like sweep picking, tapping, and arpeggios. I think we already know all of this, but to me this definition just lacks a lot of background and detail. Furthermore, I don't want to focus only on the technical details, that's why I'm making this video. We have to set this straight, and there's an importance to having a clear definition of this, because it will also help us to find who the first shredder in history was. So, if we take a look first at the technical details of what composes shredding, it will be a combination between technique and speed. This is our two ground pillars of shredding. And let's not forget the third and last pillar, which I believe to be the most important one. We'll come back to it soon. As far as technique goes, we have everything from sweep picking, alternate picking, tapping, etc., as well as hand synchronization, tension control, the fingers' independence, rotation motion, and so on. I won't go further in detail on this, but you can find a lot of videos on YouTube approaching these topics. A skilled shredder has to be able to understand and dominate these two foundational ground pillars. They also need to master this in combination with each other. And this is not a minor detail to point out, because shredders are usually called virtuosos. Which means that they, over a long period of time, developed an incredible ability to play the guitar, which takes conscious and structured practice time. With that said, it's clear that shredding is not just mindless fretting without any control of the two essential structures in place. Or maybe not. I want you to take a look at the following video. Yeah, this was in a talent TV show in Colombia. Yes, they have technique. Here, some kind of alternate peaking at the incredible speed of 16 notes per second. And here, one of the first examples of air sweep peaking ever recorded.
Nothing here is fake. Nothing you see on this show is fake.
Okay, it's not my intention to make fun of these guys, but more so considering I was doing something similar when I was 17. But you get the point, right? These examples don't really show any domination or control over the techniques at all. Would you call this shredding? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, what we can also see in this performance is an amazed audience, and even the judges, who gave to these guys their approval. However, the judges seems to be confused. They don't really understand what exactly these guys are doing, and their final judgment seems to be based on their attitude and performance on stage instead.
Me encantó el punteo que hicieron, es una demostración del talento que tienen.
A mí lo que más me gusta de ustedes es esa buena onda, esa actitud, se ve que gozan y disfrutan todo.
Sentí que ustedes tienen pasión y que tienen mística.
Que no fue un duelo de guitarristas, ni un duelo de guitarras, que hubiera sido un poco lo obvio, o lo que uno hubiera podido esperar, sino la exposición de un mismo talento de manera integrada. Entonces ahí se siente...
Somehow I think we can't disregard these guitar players completely. They actually have something in common with the shredding culture. The history of shredding involves competing and creating drama around the performance of guitar playing. Shred is definitely meant to impress, show off skills, and just create some superhuman quality to the player. It seems to be all about who can execute complex and fast techniques while dominating the fretboard with freedom and control, but sometimes even at the cost of musicality for the sake of an impressive show. And this point actually takes us to its origins. There's no way to say for certain where the term shredding started to emerge, but we can guess somewhere around in the middle of the 80s. You know, the Guitar God era. Let's take a look at the book Legends of Rock Guitar from 1997, where Pete Brown describes and explores the meaning behind shredding as an indication of speed on ski slopes, where shredders would cut fast and fiercely through the snow, often with dangerous and seemingly insane maneuvers. Shredding came to denote speed coupled with barely controlled recklessness. This seems to be a reference to our guys previously, doesn't it? Well, Pete Brown also clarifies. The recklessness part was just for show. Every shredder knew what he was doing. So essentially a shredder might seem like he's just blazing through his performance without any control, but they have to have a lot of knowledge and practice. A true shredder must really know what he's doing. This whole analogy that Pete Brown used to describe shredding wasn't unfamiliar to the guitar scene in the 80s. The term didn't solely become trendy due to the increased popularity and relevance of the electric guitar at the time, but also for the need of guitar players to compete and show to the world how incredible they are. Guitar players wanted to be rock stars. This was something that Walter Hill knew as he was directing the movie Crossroads from 1986, in which the famous duel with Steve Vai wasn't originally planned at all. Instead, it was supposed to be a blues slide guitar contest, but Walter wanted a shred battle. Even though he didn't know about the existence of the actual term, the concept and phenomenon of shredding was already forming, even without a clear definition to name it. So, before the familiarity of the expression to shred, people were already finding ways to describe these incredible guitar players, with phrases like, "Man, That guy was playing so fast you could see smoke coming off the neck, which eventually led to smoking hot guitar players. But this wasn't enough, they wanted a better term to describe this. So someday someone said, no, this was way more than just a smoke in the neck. This was shredding the neck, tearing it up, shredding it to pieces that flew all over the room. Slowly but surely, this is how shredding started to emerge within the guitar player's culture. But there's a problem. Not even our guitar heroes who experienced the golden era of shredding knew exactly what this meant, and I'll show you why just in a minute. But before, let's talk about speed. Previously, we saw that the pillars of shredding are technique and speed. As far as technique goes, it's more obvious what it consists of. Remember, we have alternate picking, tapping, sweep picking, as well as tension control, the fingers independence, hand synchronization, etc. But what about speed? Is there any standard speed you should be playing in order to be shredding? Well, the answer is about 16 notes at 170 BPM. In other words, around 12 notes per second. Or that's the kind of answer that you will find on the internet. For Michelangelo Badio, 170 BPM is just warming up speed.
I know there's been some controversy over Joey and I playing at 275 BPM. We started at 200. That is the warm-up. And I said, we're not even in the shred zone yet. And you will see us play at 275 BPM. That is the shred zone.
It's difficult or relative to judge with only our intuition if something is fast or not, especially in a shredding context, where there's no such thing as a standard speed. Internet is full of videos, articles and tutorials telling you about how to achieve the shred speed, but there's no actual indication of what that speed is, or how many notes you should play per second so you can say, now I'm shredding. If we take a look at the indications for tempo markings from a more traditional and academically correct standpoint, then we notice that composers start considering that something is fast from allegretto to allegro, which means from 112 BPM to 156 BPM. In other words, between 8 and 10 notes per second in average. Now, to put that into perspective, the guitar solo for Van Halen's Panama only has 6 notes per second in average. Doesn't that make it a shred solo then? This is why it's so complicated to determine the speed for shredding, because it requires context. A guitar solo can be so dynamic. It could contain slow, calm parts. It could contain fragments intended to enhance the harmony. It could even contain silence. And of course, faster licks. Now, as we notice, the answer to what shred speed actually is finds itself a bit complicated and quite subjective as well. A question in the same vein as this one, with a more clear answer, you can find in a great video from Adam Neely, where he discusses at what speed a human can play music while still comprehending and recognizing it as music. If you're curious to know more, I suggest you to check it out in the link here. It's really interesting. For a lot of people, shredding is all about playing fast, and guitar players have continuously kept pushing the boundaries of what is possible with their playing speed. The maximum speed of shredding could be actually determined by recording a guitar player's performance and then analyzing it. This could accurately measure the number of notes played per second and give a clear picture of the player's maximum speed. However, when it comes to determining the minimum speed for shredding, it's not possible to give a definitive answer. Shredding is such a... Shredding is as... Necesito un poquito de agua, Shredding is such a subjective form of guitar playing, and the minimum speed required to be considered a shredder varies from player to player. Some guitar players might consider a speed of 6 notes per second to be shredding, while others might feel like 10, 15 or even more notes per second would be considered their standard. As said before, we noticed that a speed is relative. And remember the origins of shredding. It became popular not just because there was someone measuring how many notes per beat or per second every guitar player was using in their solos, or how well you could perform the techniques. But what it all came down to was about how well you could amaze and spellbind your audience with what and how you were playing it, either with your talent or putting on a show. That's what Van Halen and lots of other guitar players understood and controlled perfectly, which takes us to the third pillar of shredding. But before, it's time for the sponsor of this video, which is me. Hey, are you looking for a music producer to help you with your project? Maybe you need a session musician. Even someone who can mix and master your music.
Viejo, mi querido viejo. Viejo, mi querido viejo.
Well, look no further and let me be part of your project. I've been working with music for over 15 years, and what you've heard just scratches the surface of the services I can offer you. I've collaborated with bands across the world and shared my creativity and passion for music with musicians alike. The sky's the limit and the decision is yours. Get in touch with me today and let's start creating amazing music. Coming to the last pillar of shredding, I want to bring attention to this interview from the Masters of Shred YouTube channel. When Rob Beach is asked about how he would define the term shred, he naturally points out all the typical fast players like Yngwie Malmsteen, but then he throws us off course, just to say that he actually prefers players like Steve Lukather and Andy Timmons, referring to them as guys that play with total soul.
I prefer more like Steve Lukather, Andy Timmons, guys that play with just total soul.
Nuno Betancourt also mentions in the interview that back then the word shred was used more or less as a term of endearment to say that you were in fact a great player.
You reach a point where you hold your own as a player, and we used to say, man, he's a shredder, which didn't mean that he could play as fast as Yngwie. It just meant that he was an incredible guitar. But yeah, these kids, man, they all want to play fast, man. Sweeps and shit.
Coming back to the point that a great guitarist doesn't equal playing fast. Steve Vai, on the other hand, has a more clear answer.
Shred is the terminology used for someone who has such a tremendous amount of technique that what they do just seems completely effortless and absurd. I think that actually gives you that blow-away factor.
And this answer may resonate with the concept that we already have about what shredding means. As we notice, the term shred is kind of ambiguous, even to these guys who lived and experienced the golden era of shredding. And what is an even more interesting question is why Steve Lukather, Andy Timmons and Matteo Cesato are being referenced to when talked about in a shred context. What do they have in common with well-known shredders like Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads or John Petrucci? I will say it's because they can, at the top of their heads, puzzle together a solo with melodic lines, whilst playing them as fast enough to be enjoyable and melodically attractive to keep things interesting. That's what these guys have in common. They have the ability to connect to people's souls and minds through their playing. This, with no doubt, requires a level of creativity, our third ground pillar. Creativity also requires time, practice, going out of your comfort zone, and being emotionally sensitive. and receptive, and should be just as important as any other obvious parts of shredding. When you're different, when you stop playing the same stuff that everyone is playing, when you are creative, you are definitely going to catch the attention of others, and that's also shredding. This is exactly what happened in the Crossroads duel. In the movie, Steve Vai used multiple shred techniques, harmonics, legato, alternate picking, even whammy bar abuse, all with incredible ability, control and speed. All while Eugene Martone decided to flip the script and surprise the audience with something outside of their comfort zone in order to win the battle. It wasn't blues, it wasn't rock and roll anymore. He knew that this field was controlled by Vai, with no chance of winning. He surprised everyone by playing a violin piece from the 18th century. And of course, this piece is known for being technically difficult, but look at it from the audience perspective. For them, it wasn't about crazy techniques at incredible speed. This was something new for them, something fresh. It was different from what they were used to. It was creative. Only using creativity made him win a shred battle. A battle against the devil. If we just turn our eyes to social media today, we notice a world fully saturated with guitar players trying to show off their skills. It seems that the definition of shred has turned into a competition and created a misconception that in order to shred, you have to be the fastest. In turn, creating this artificial wave in the guitar scene where everyone is thinking that there's a required speed you need in order to be shredding. You can even see guitar players faking their takes, editing their recordings, or using playback to the point of not sounding like a human anymore but more like a software. All of this because of their need to impress and to win this fabricated modern shred battle. If you want to know more about this topic of fake guitar playing, there's a detailed video from Levi Clay talking about it.
Playing live. Now I know what you're thinking, right? You listen to that, you see that, and you think to yourself, wow, this guy's one of the greatest guitar players that's ever lived. Understandable, right? Buddy, you're not playing that though, are you? You're not playing that. That's not a guitar. Now, I can't say for certain, but almost like this was something that was wrote in Guitar Pro and then run through some sort of sim software, and then that's used as part of their live tracks when they play live. Why is this an issue? Because he's using this video as a representation of what his band does live so he can sell you tickets.
So, it seemed that the future of shredding was doomed to perpetually raise the bar in terms of speed. But then, these guys showed up. Olivia, Matteo Sasato, Tosin Abasi are just a few names of a new era of guitar players that are taking guitar playing to a different spectrum. And not by raising the bar in terms of speed, but instead by using their creativity. You may like them or not, truth be told is that they stand out by being different from everyone else out there. They stand out because they are creative. Our guitar heroes all possess their own unique set of skills, from the most basic techniques to mastering the most complex musical theories. They can range from playing slowly and deliberately to blazing through solos with lightning speed. Regardless of the differences in their playing, they are all shredders, shredding away in their own individual style. Some might be focused on creating an atmosphere and immersive musical experience, while others may be more focused on technical proficiency and showing off their speed and agility. But they are all connected by the same passion for guitar playing and the same dedication to mastering their craft. It's not about whether you can sweep pick as smoothly as Jason Becker, or pick the strings as fiercely as Yngwie. The essence of shredding, in my opinion, is about mastering the balance between these three pillars. It's also about pushing the past boundaries of what you thought was possible and constantly striving to improve your style. It's about making your playing stand out from the crowd. It's about having the confidence to take risks and create music that is truly unique. Shredding is an art form, and if you are willing to put the time and dedication, you can make it your own. And there's no formula for it. You can create your own path. It's easy to get caught up in wanting to play and sound exactly like your heroes or influences, but every guitarist's journey is just different and unique. Maybe someone out there will be inspired by the way you play one day. Don't be afraid to developing and experiment with the different aspects of guitar playing to create your own style. In the end, it will just make you stand out from everyone else. After all of this, defining, researching, analyzing what shredding truly means, I feel we have awakened a question that is burning to be answered. Now that we can tell a true shredder from just the smoke and mirrors, we should be able to unveil who the first shredder in history was. And let me tell you, it's probably not who you might be thinking of. This guy was long before the ones you are familiar with today. But before, be sure to be subscribed to my channel and hit the bell so you will be notified for my upcoming video. We'll get into it all. Let's go back in time and find this guy. I am at Stockholm's Public Library here in Sweden, where they actually have a copy of this first book of songs. This could be not only the first tab book ever written, but the evidence that he was in fact the first shredder in history. We usually associate shredding with rock, metal, and even jazz music, which is understandable given the technicality it requires. But think of Stevie Ray Vaughan, for example. Could he be classified as shredder? And what about other genres? Of course, all the information in this video has been based on my personal opinion and all the research I did on the internet. But I would love to hear what you guys think, so feel free to leave your opinions in the comments section. I'm looking forward to read all of them. Thanks everyone for watching. This kind of videos takes a lot of time and effort to produce, so if you'd like to support me beyond your subscription, you can listen to my music, which you've been hearing along this video. Join as a channel member as well. And remember, you can hire me as your music producer. I will also mix and master your music. All the detailed information in the description. And if the next video is already live, you can watch it here. If not, I'm gonna leave you here a video that you may like.